And just before everything went black, she heard him whisper one last thing. "Don't worry. After tonight, you'll never feel pain again." At first, it was just an annoying tickle behind Chika's lower jaw. She thought maybe she had chewed too much dry ponmo the day before. She rinsed her mouth with salt water and ignored it. But that was on Monday. By Wednesday, the tickle had become a pulse. Hot. Deep. Like something had moved in and started breathing inside her gum. She sat on her bed that night, in her room at Lodge, sweating, not because of heat, but from pain. She hadn't eaten. She couldn't even swallow Gary. Jesus. I day craze. This teeth go kill me, she groaned. She held her jaw, pressed hot towel, paced up and down. But nothing worked. By Friday, her left cheek had ballooned. Her skin stretched like nylon, and each time she blinked, it felt like her eye was vibrating. She hadn't slept. Her lips were cracking. Her eyes bloodshot. Adiz, her roommate, stared at her and shook her head. "The pain is really too much," she said. "We need to find help this night. I no go sleep with person way fit die beside me." That evening, around 7:30 p.m., as the sun disappeared behind the zinc roofs of Asoba, Chika sat on a stool outside the compound gate. Flies buzzed around her mouth. Her scarf was soaked in sweat. Two neighbors, Mama Bridget and Onom, passed by selling eggs. They paused when they saw her face. "Aha. Wet and bite this one," Onom said. "No teeth pain," Adiz replied. "Teeth coup. E be like say she carry spiritual lump." "Have you people tried that place by the old railway path?" Mama Bridget asked. "One dentist day there. He no day collect much." Adiz's eyes lit up. "No Dr. Toby abi?" "Yes. Dem say the man quiet, but he sobby work. One girl for our street say no him remove her own pain when federal hospital no gree see her." Chika raised her head weakly. "You sure say e legit?" "I no go swear oh," Mama Bridget said, adjusting her basket. "But pain no day wait for guarantee." Adiz helped her up. "Let's go now. Before the pain reach your brain." They didn't wait till morning. Because some pain doesn't want sleep. And some solutions don't wait for morning. The sky was already dark as Chika and Adiz crossed the narrow footpath behind Oduk Junction. The wind had picked up. It carried the smell of rain and dust. The shortcut to the old railway wasn't safe. Everybody in the area knew that. Overgrown bushes lined both sides of the narrow dirt path. Strange trees bent like watchers in the night. Once in a while, the cry of a night owl would slice through the silence like a blade. But Adiz walked fast, dragging Chika's arm. "You want to die for Lodge," she hissed. "Just walk a beg." Chika's body ached. Her jaw felt like it was being hammered from the inside. Every 2 steps, she winced. Her slippers kept slipping in the mud. Then, up ahead, they saw it. A faded green umbrella, hanging over a rusty gate. No signboard. No light bulb. Just a short bamboo table, a single plastic chair, and an old man seated with a flashlight tucked under his chin, chewing bitter cola. The man didn't lift his head. "No teeth," he said, voice dry. Adiz answered for her. "Yes, sir." Her mouth done spoil. "We need help, a beg." The man stood slowly. "Enter." The doctor day inside. He pushed a hanging curtain aside, revealing a narrow corridor lit by a dim yellow bulb at the far end. Adiz wanted to follow, but the old man raised a palm. Only her. Chika looked back, fear dancing in her eyes. Adiz hesitated, then whispered, "No worry. Just fix am. Come out quick." Chika entered the corridor. Each step echoed, like walking through a cave. At the end was a door, old wood, peeling blue paint. She knocked lightly. The door opened itself. Inside was a small room. No wider than a kiosk. No fan. No AC. Just a chair that looked like a dental recliner and a mirror on the wall, cracked in 3 places. There was a table with some tools, but they were covered with black cloth. She was still staring when he walked in. Dr. Toby. Young. Slim. Dark. Wearing spotless white scrubs. No shoes. His smile. Wide, perfect, glinting like light off a razor. But his eyes. They didn't blink. Not even once. He didn't greet. He didn't ask for her name. He just looked at her face, touched her swollen cheek gently, and whispered, "You came in time." Another day and it would have spread. Spread to where? Chika asked faintly. "To the part of your soul you can't reach," he replied. Chika swallowed. "Please, remove the pain." Dr. Toby turned to the table, lifted the black cloth. There were no modern tools. Just a single silver hook, a dark bottle, and a tiny clay cup. He poured the bottle's contents into the cup. Thick. Black. Smelled like old burnt tire and bitter leaf. He handed it to her. "Drink this. You'll feel free in 5 minutes." She took it with shaky hands. "Will it numb the pain?" "It will numb your memory of pain," he said. She drank it. The bitterness was sharp. It crawled down her throat like ants. Her stomach turned. And just before everything went black, she heard him whisper one last thing. "Don't worry. After tonight, you'll never feel pain again." Chika woke up to cold. Not the cold of harmattan, but the cold of somewhere forgotten. The kind that wraps itself around your bones and whispers, "You are not supposed to be here." She was lying on the same dental chair, except it was no longer white. It was rusted. The ceiling above her had cobwebs. The mirror was no longer cracked, it was shattered completely, but somehow it still reflected her. She sat up, dizzy. Her scarf had fallen. Her mouth was dry. She reached for her face, slowly, and paused. The pain was gone. She opened her mouth, then froze. There were gaps. Too many gaps. She stood, stumbled to the mirror, and pulled her lower lip down with shaking hands. There were no teeth. None. Not just the bad one. Every single lower tooth was gone. Clean. Smooth. Too smooth. She staggered back in horror. Then she noticed something else. Blood. Under her fingernails. On her wrist. On the chair handle. And her feet were wet. She looked down. Her slippers were soaked in something dark. Panicked, she grabbed the door, pulled it open, and ran through the corridor. But the yellow bulb was gone. It was now a tunnel of darkness, with shadows stretching too long for a hallway that short. She reached the entrance, but the curtain was gone. So was the old man. So was the bamboo table. Even the green umbrella. Gone. The plastic chair. Broken. Covered in dust. As if no one had sat there in years. She ran. Half crawled. Back through the footpath. Past the rustling bushes that now hissed louder than before. When she reached the main road, a passing Kiki stopped for her. The driver looked at her strangely. "Auntie, you sure say you well? Take me my lodge," she screamed. Back in her room, Adiz jumped up when Chika pushed the door open. "Jesus. Why didn't you wait for me? I think say." Just then she noticed Chika's face. It looked emptier. The swelling was gone. But her eyes had changed. Duller. Wider. And when she opened her mouth to speak, nothing came out. Her tongue was swollen. Her voice was muffled, like she was speaking from inside a tunnel. Adiz moved closer. "Chika, what did they do to you there?" Chika tried to talk, but gave up. She sat, pulled a pen, wrote on the back of her Bible. "He removed all my teeth. I don't remember how. I just woke up like this." Adiz screamed. "Ha! This one pass teeth matter. This is ritual." She lifted Chika's head again, looked under her tongue. A strange dark line ran across the base. like something had been stitched there, and then melted shut. That night, Chika didn't eat. She didn't sleep. She sat near the mirror, still, until around 2 a.m. She heard it. Tap, tap, tap. She looked around. Nothing. Then again. Tap, tap, tap. It was coming from the mirror. She crawled to it slowly. The mirror didn't show her reflection. It showed the clinic. But in the mirror, the chair was full, and the person on it was still screaming. Behind her, in the wardrobe, something breathed. Then a voice whispered, "You gave us the root. Now open your mouth and serve." Chika jolted back, bumping her head against the metal wardrobe handle. She scrambled away from the mirror, breathing fast, her chest rising like she had just outrun something no human was meant to survive. She wanted to scream, but the voice in her throat wasn't hers. She pressed her hands against her lips, and then, as if something crawled under her gum, her mouth began to itch. Not just itch, pulse, as if something was growing. She ran to Adi's bedside. "Wake up," she mouthed silently, tugging her arm. Adiz stirred, blinking. "What is it?" She froze. Chika's mouth was bleeding again, but this time, not from pain, from movement. Adiz leaped out of bed and turned on the light. Chika opened her mouth wide. New teeth were coming in, but they were not white. They were gray, bent, crooked, razor-edged, like tiny claws tearing through flesh. "Blood of Jesus!" Adiz screamed. She covered her mouth and backed toward the door. "This one is not normal. You need prayer. You need fasting. You need to go back to wherever you went and return whatever you collected." Chika couldn't cry. Her tear ducts felt dry. Her reflection in the mirror now smiled even when she didn't. That day, she didn't go out. But by evening, she felt something else. Hunger. But not for food. Not for rice. Not for water. For something alive. Later that night, Chika walked out of the compound barefoot. She didn't tell Adiz. She didn't even take her phone. She wore a long black gown and walked slowly to Main Market Road. The streetlights blinked. Dogs barked in the distance but refused to come close. She stopped in front of a tomato seller. The woman smiled. "Sister, you day by?" Chika didn't respond. She reached forward, touched the woman's wrist. The woman stiffened. Her eyes rolled back. And without a word, she collapsed. Stone cold. No cuts. No blood. Just dead. People rushed. Screams flew. But Chika just turned and walked away, smiling. She returned home to find Adiz already packing her bag. "I am not doing again," she shouted. "You are bringing death. My spirit does not rest near you." Chika sat on the bed, tilted her head. "You can't leave," she whispered. It was the first thing she had said all day. And her voice was not hers. It sounded like a grown man, with gravel in his throat. Adiz ran. She didn't even take her slippers. She didn't stop until she reached her aunt's place across town. That was the last time she slept in her lodge. News spread fast. By Monday, 2 market deaths had been linked to the same strange young woman with scarf-wrapped hair and odd teeth. People whispered about the girl who didn't blink. A pastor, Prophet Namdi, from Uku, came to investigate. He had dealt with Ogbanj spirits before. But when he entered Chika's room, he dropped his Bible. She was sitting in front of the mirror, brushing her tongue with a wire hanger. She looked up, slowly. Her pupils had disappeared. Her eyes were white, pure white, and her teeth, now full, were all sharp, like something born to bite through bone. "Came to cast me," she said. The pastor raised his Bible. "In the name of Yesu." "Sure. You want to cast what you can't pronounce." The pastor froze. He looked beneath her tongue and gasped. A dark sigil, shaped like a tooth, was pulsing beneath it, beating like a heart. He dropped the Bible and ran. Later that night, a letter was found under her mirror, written in Chika's handwriting, but signed differently. Tooth is memory. Pain is a door. She opened it. Now she serves. By the end of that week, 4 more people had collapsed mysteriously in different corners of Asaba. All of them had one thing in common. They'd recently spoken to Chika, or touched something she had handled, or had been near mirrors. The city was unsettled. Church bells rang every evening. Women bathed with salt water. Men avoided eye contact with strangers. Meanwhile, Chika barely left her room. But when she did, she carried a small mirror in her hand, and wherever she passed, mirrors cracked, or turned black. Some say she no longer walked, she glided. Others swore her legs no longer touched the ground. Inside her room, the walls began to talk. Adi's old calendar tore itself apart. The fan blades spun without power, and the mirror above her bed now reflected a chair that was no longer there, the same chair from Dr. Toby's clinic. Each night, voices would whisper, many mouths, one root, feed us. She obeyed. She would walk into streets, tap shoulders, whisper blessings, and walk away smiling. By the time the person got home, they would fall, choking, their teeth turning gray before their final breath. The police were confused. There was no visible poison, no attack, no evidence, only a pattern, teeth, death, and silence. Out of desperation, a local herbalist named Papa Omar offered to help. He said he knew the path of Ogbanj spirits who return through mouth wounds. He gathered his boys, along with a few native hunters and a Babalawo from Abusa. They lit palm oil lamps and traced the railway path at midnight. The area was still, until they reached the exact location Chika described. The umbrella was gone, but the soil was soft. They dug, and dug, and dug. What they found was not a clinic. It was a spiral staircase going down, beneath a soba, into a tomb of silence. The walls were filled with bones, teeth everywhere, arranged in lines, some human, some animal, some unidentifiable. There were old dental chairs made of iron rods and skin, drawings made in blood, of women with missing mouths, of men kneeling before mirrors. They reached a room at the very end. A circle of cracked mirrors stood around a chair, and on that chair, Dr. Toby's coat, folded, pressed, but no body, just his voice, echoing, "You cannot remove what has already rooted." They burned the place, used kerosene, firewood, and 7 different kinds of native oil. As the flames rose, a cry rang through the wind, like 1,000 teeth breaking at once. They left that night and vowed never to speak of it. But 2 nights later, Chika was spotted at Onitsha Bridge, staring into the river, smiling, and brushing her teeth with a feather soaked in ash. By now, Chika no longer looked like herself. Her eyes remained white, but her iris returned, glowing faint gold at night. Her skin was dark, but now paler in certain spots. She wore all black, always barefoot, always silent. She now visited girls with toothaches, found them at markets, at kiosks, in hostels. She would whisper, "Let me help you." If they said yes, they vanished that night. But their mirrors stayed cracked, their beds cold, and their toothbrushes soaked in blood. One girl from Agbor Uju survived her touch. She had chewed a clove of garlic before meeting Chika, unknowingly protecting herself. Uju was the one who warned people. It's not the pain that kills you, it's the cure she offers. Once she touches your gum, you no longer feel. And once you no longer feel, you belong to her. 2 months passed. Asoba slowly forgot. The deaths were buried. The rumors faded. The fear muted, but never gone. People whispered about the girl with the silent mouth. But no one said her name. They had only been bothered why she was the only one that got possessed and how she let herself be used for the job. This made people scared of getting treatment for their teeth, and will be willing to pay more to go for a good healthcare than settle for a cheap roadside treatment with probably untreated tools. Chika was now a shadow, moving between towns, from Oka to Sapil to Nsukka, offering cheap tooth treatment in quiet corners. She never charged money, just smiled and asked, "Do you want to stop the pain?" Most people said yes, and then they disappeared. Some say she died. Others say she now lives in reflections. If you stare into a mirror too long, especially when your mouth is aching, she might appear behind you, touch your shoulder gently, and whisper, "Saya." Pain is part of life. But there are places you should never run to. People you should never trust with your wounds. Especially places with infected and untreated tools. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.